I'm going to start with product app plan, and then we can go through the other two if we have time, and depending on which one you guys are more interested in. Okay, so this one's pretty fun. It's also going to, I can make this very interactive. So if you guys would want to contribute, feel very free to either chat or type something in the chat or unmute if you have any ideas. Okay, basically, this is like the planning stage of coding. And this is really important because if you don't know what you're going to code, the building process is going to end up being a little bit messy. And with something like assignment 3, where you're working with someone, it's even more important to get on the same page about what you want your app to end up looking like. Yeah. Okay, so for this exercise, we will try and code up we're actually coding it up. I think we're just designing it. We're just designing a simplified Kahoot clone. Okay, so yeah, before opening your text editor, there are 3 things that we should do. So we're going to think about user experience, we're going to create some mockups, and then we're going to consider user interface. So in industry or in like real life, these will be like a massive like process of like design and review and iteration. But for your own personal projects, it's easy. It's a good idea to go through these steps, at least like briefly, just to solidify your ideas and make sure that you're like building something that's like good, or at least the best for your purpose. Okay. So does anyone want me to like go through how Kahoot works, or like see Kahoot if they haven't? So yeah, if we just go on the Kahoot website, ooh, it's actually quite messy. There's a lot going on here. But yeah, if you want to play Kahoot, Kahoot play, is that it? Yeah. If you're on the playing end, you just end up with this screen. If you're on the creation end, you obviously end up with a lot more to do. You can like log in and I suppose make your make the quiz. And if you're playing, you can just play it like so. Okay. All right. So when we're looking at user experience, the number one question is just who are your users and how do we help them achieve their goals? So I guess the first question to ask is, if we're building a Kahoot clone, who will be the users of the software? And this is a question open for you guys. So thanks, Irfan. Teachers and students, yes. So teachers, students. So teachers, they might be, I guess, like creating a quiz or like creating and starting quizzes to help solidify concepts maybe and make the classroom experience more fun. And for students, they would be keen to do something competitive, test their skills. Yep. So mostly, yeah, in the context of teachers and students. I don't know if anyone's also used it with friends. So I found that it's kind of fun to make a birthday Kahoot for your friends. So maybe like regular people are wanting to make quizzes for fun. Yeah, casual use, regular people, casual users. Okay. All right, I think that covers the users pretty well. Can we place these users into general archetypes? If so, what would these be? So with archetypes, what I mean is separate it into people with specific goals, I suppose. So for example, one archetype could just be a creator. So someone who is making the quiz. So that sort of encompasses the teachers and it encompasses the casual users as well. What would be like another archetype? Players, yeah. Someone who is playing a quiz. And then maybe just trying to get the highest points possible. And possibly the last one, we can say host. So someone who is starting a quiz session, I think they're called. Right, because this might be separate. I think you can like go on Kahoot and find other people's quizzes and host them basically. Yeah. Am I missing any archetypes? I think this mostly covers everyone. Okay. And now what would be the general goals for these users and archetypes? So I guess I kind of did the goals for all the users. But yeah, let's talk about as a creator, what would be like a goal? Okay, yes, that's true. Players want to win. To score as many points as possible is win. Yep. Create hard quizzes for creators and to deliver the concepts as fun as possible. Yeah. Basically, yeah, to make to deliver concepts in a fun and challenging way. I guess that's a nice way of saying creating hard quizzes. Yeah. Also, maybe just to be able to customize answers, questions, answers, and maybe also when you create quizzes, you can put in like images, and you can put in like YouTube videos and stuff like that. So I would say like a creator would want to be able to customize, customize their quiz. Okay, everyone else says to make the class interactive too. Yeah, I think this is also like perhaps like a host goal to increase interactivity of well, that's maybe more specific to a teacher. Make the classroom experience more fun and interactive. And then as a host, maybe more generally, you want to be able to, so create like a fun experience. And you can sort of see that with sort of like the Kahoot lobby music. Like as soon as it starts, everyone's excited. So create a fun experience, invite players to join the quiz. Yeah, really good. Can't have quiz if no one's playing it. True, yeah, that's right. You want to be able to moderate game, remove bad usernames. I don't know if you've ever been in a class where the teacher had to remove some usernames. Yeah, and be able to like sort of progress the quiz manually. Because sometimes everyone answers and you're just like waiting on one person who hasn't done it, and you're just like, ah, just skip. Yeah. Okay, I think we've found like a good list of goals. Anything else? If not, okay, so once we have our general users and the goals outlined, we can be a little bit more specific about how we can get the user archetypes to achieve their goals. We do this by creating user stories. So all of you should have done 15301, so should at least be a little bit familiar with user stories. The general format of user stories is you want to go as some type of user. I want to do something in order to achieve some goal. Okay. Okay. These take a little bit more thinking, so I'm okay to wait a little bit of time before someone answers. But yeah, what would be a user story? There could be so many user stories out of what we've brainstormed here, but I think we could just maybe just come up with like 3 just to get an idea. I think we, for something super simple to start off with, we could say as a player, I want to select answers in the quiz in order to try to attain more points. Okay, Earthen's got one. As a host of a party, I want to make the games more interactive and let everyone have fun in order to make game nights more memorable. Oh yeah, for sure. So as a host, I want to create interactive games in order to make game nights more memorable. Yep. This is good. We could also try to make this a little bit more specific, because sometimes user stories will correspond directly with like tasks. So this is more sort of like a very broad, like sort of epic. Yeah, what comes under sort of create interactive games? Perhaps we could say something like as a host, okay, yeah, as a host, I want to start a lobby in order to invite players. Yeah, that's something we can do to start a lobby in order to invite players to join. Before beginning the game. Yep. I guess, oh, as a host, you maybe want to start interactive games to make game nights more memorable. Or we could change that to as a creator, we want to create. So now we have like one of each. We could also maybe say, yeah, so something maybe more specific for as a creator. You can say, I want to insert GIFs into my questions in order to make the quiz more fun. Yeah, so that kind of counts as the interactive bit. Yeah, you can also say, as a creator, I want to customize answers to my questions in order to test my students, maybe, or my players. Yeah, so I've come up with quite a few there. So yeah, hopefully you guys get the idea. Thank you for sending some through. That you want it to be kind of specific in terms of the goal and sort of like the requirement. And these can definitely end up one, they inform your sort of like design, and two, they can sort of inform the specific features that you want to implement. Okay. Any questions about anything to do with UX? If not, we can talk about mockups. So mockups are used to plan out your app, and they're used as a graphical representation of how you would lay out your app. So basically, yeah, going to HTML and CSS immediately, there's a bit of like it takes time, and it really helps when you have like a visual aid to be able to build towards, so you know what you're trying to achieve. So these mockups can range from a single screen to a whole flow, which would show how a user would navigate through your app when certain elements are interacted with. Yeah. I suppose in like a real work environment, you would have like your designers make these mockups, and you would then, the designers would then send them off to the software engineers to implement. And so these are really important because, yeah, the designers and maybe like the product people who've decided, okay, what are the sort of like user requirements? They put a lot of thought into how things should be pieced together in order for people to achieve these requirements. And they want that to be implemented. So if they make mockups, it's like a really nice visual way of the software engineers being able to see, okay, this is what I need to implement. Okay, so there's a few tools that you can use for mockups. There's Figma, which I believe is used in industry, but it does take a bit of time to pick up. So if that's a skill you want to work on, I would recommend, it's definitely a very useful skill. But if you just want to sort of like get something done for this assignment, there are easier tools as well. So there's Balsamiq, but you do have to pay after 30 days. So I guess you could use the free trial. There's also Mock Plus, which I've heard about. I haven't used it before, but it's free. And there's also, well, you could also just draw as well, which I think is very easy to do. And there's also Google Slide, MS Paint. Yeah, you could use MS Paint. Oh, can you still get MS Paint? Let me see if I've got it. Oh my God, yeah, I do. Oh my goodness. Wait, I can actually, wait, this isn't bad. I can draw things. I can add text. Try using a trackpad and not a mouse. Oh, would this be too much of a meme if I did the next section in MS Paint? How do I delete this now? Select. Okay, can I delete that? No. Okay, I can delete that. I'm on a desktop, so I've only got a mouse. I'm not using a trackpad, so you won't have to watch me do that. This is not even that bad. Although deletion, like you can't select things after you've put them down. It's like I can't like drag and drop. Okay, maybe this is not a good idea. Okay, let's not use MS Paint. Okay. But if you're in a pinch, it's not a bad option, I guess. All right. So I'm just going to use slides. Oh, you can also use Canva. Canva, the thing with Canva is like, it looks too nice. It's kind of hard to recreate. But yeah, let's use PowerPoint. Oh, Google Slides. All right. So what do we want to do? Create a mock-up of the screen a player sees when they're answering a question. Okay. All right, so what do we need? Actually, before we go straight to the mock-up, what do we need when a user answers a question? What should be on the screen? Answer a question. I guess very importantly, you should have maybe like buttons to select an answer. Yep, okay, yeah. So first of all, like, yeah, the options available. Buttons to select an option. Yep, the question. What else would be important? A timer? Yeah. So you know how much time you've got. Current points. Probably not that important. Yeah, current points, sure. And maybe also like which question you're on. It's like question 1 of 5 or something. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, yeah. This would probably be in desktop view, I will say, because this is a lot of information to have a mobile view. I guess, yeah, when you're using Kahoot on mobile, like actually all you've got really is the buttons to select an option. I don't think you have anything else. Everything else is just available on, like it's up on the big screen for the host. So maybe we'll do a desktop view and then we'll also do a mobile view. Maybe we'll start with mobile view because mobile first development. So let's make a very sketchy insert. Oh no, shapes are here. Okay, I'll make a really dodgy screen here. This is an iPhone. This is probably like the iPhone, what, like, this looks like the iPhone 3 or something. Okay. Let's put in. Yeah, that's like the screen. I also want to put in like a little circle for the home button because I kind of miss the iPhone home buttons. All right. Change the color, black. iPhone SE when. Okay. All right. There's our iPhone. Okay. Let's sort of put together the Okay. Yeah. So for the buttons, yeah, in mobile view, maybe. Do you guys want anything apart from buttons to select an option? Like I know with Real Kahoot, it's just the buttons, but is there anything else in mobile view that you think you actually kind of want? Not really. Yeah. I personally actually kind of want a timer. I don't know. I feel like that would be good to have on the screen when you're answering. So, okay, let's how do we do this? So why don't we just do, so we want the buttons to be really big, right? And like obvious. So we'll have the 4 buttons. Let's give them colors. So yeah, with Kahoot, like they make them super like bold colors. So it's very obvious which one you're selecting. I believe it doesn't need a border, hey. Okay, that fits. Oh, probably want a little bit of space. Okay, that's a bit janky. Okay, so I'm very aware that this does not look the best, but the point of a mock-up is more so just to get the things in the right places, especially if you're like doing it for yourself. So you know sort of like the layout, and then like the final sort of like prettying things up is for once you actually go implement. Okay, so I reckon what we can do is we can have these like 4 tiles, these 4 buttons, and then we're gonna have I want to have like a timer like running out at the bottom. So like this. So we'll have like a bar at the bottom. We can make it white or something. I don't want water. And then as your time runs out, the sort of bar will sort of like drain down like that. Oh, that's not really a nice color, is it? Blue. Yeah. Okay, and the buttons, in order to differentiate them, they really should be different colors. So let's do blue here, or maybe purple. Oh, green, yellow, red for the timer. Actually, that's a really good idea. Okay, I don't know if I selected the correct colors for this. Let's make this blue. Yeah. So maybe in this mode, it's still like, it's still probably green, hey? You're not that scared. Right? You've still got time. And let's sort of like draw what it would look like. Yeah, and if you're like really running out of time, it'll just turn red. That clock is ticking. Yeah. Yeah, so that's actually doesn't look that bad. It's a bit janky, but yeah, the elements are there. You got the different buttons for selecting. Yeah, selecting the answer, and then you've also got a timer that tells you how much time you have left, and brings in a sense of urgency. Okay, so I guess now we can also look at desktop view. Actually, you guys get the idea. Do you want me to do the desktop view? Yeah. So you get the idea in the sense of like, you have the basic view and you're just really putting together the elements of where things need to be. Honestly, sometimes with mockup, you don't even add color. I just add color because I thought it makes sense. It's also really easy to change the colors here. But yeah, when you have this mockup, it just makes it really easy for you to communicate to someone else what you have in mind and sort of lay down the important parts of the design. So I might do this. Mobile. We have, yep, timer and buttons to select. Okay, now let's talk about user interaction. So this is essentially more of like the aesthetic part. So again, like with mockups, usually you don't actually put the colors. Once you get to the user interaction stage, here's where you think about colors. So we've got this website here, which is just like it's a comprehensive guide for color usage in web design. So there's actually quite a lot here. It goes through color psychology and sort of like the color wheel and what things mean when they're sort of like opposite each other, when they're next to each other. And we've got like the triad, sort of like, you can see sort of when you have colors on that sort of form a triangle, they sort of look like that, and so on and so forth. It is definitely really interesting to read about. I think the most important thing to take away though is that choosing your color palette is important, mostly just to make sure that your colors aren't clashing and aren't making it difficult to read. So there's this thing called color vibration, where you can see like putting these two colors next to each other just does not look good. Like it just visually clashes. You can sort of see it here as well. That's because they're complementary colors, so they're directly opposite each other on the color wheel. And basically we want to avoid this as much as possible. Like obviously we can have complementary colors, we just shouldn't put them next to each other. And also you might have noticed how when I was choosing the colors here, I always picked like a softer color. When you pick strong colors, because these are all like different colors, right? When they're strong, sort of or if they were like really bright, like if I chose these hues, they do not look good together at all compared to these ones. So in this situation, like we wanted contrasting colors in order to differentiate the buttons. Like that's really important. But then we also have to make sure that they're not actually contrasting so much that they're clashing. So I could have chosen contrasting colors like this, but instead I chose contrasting colors, but I made them like the softer versions so they don't visually clash as much. So yeah, I want to change that back because that looks not good. Let's change to this one. Yeah, so that just automatically looks so much better. I'm so much calmer now. Yeah, and you can use like a tool like colors to sort of just generate color palettes. Just accept all cookies, start the generator. Okay, yes. All right, nice. So basically this just automatically does like a nice color palette for you. So this has like mildly contrasting, but sort of like colors that go well together. and you just press your space bar. If you don't like it, you can just try different ones. And a lot of the time, these can just be used for like inspiration, like, oh, this looks quite nice. And then I can maybe like use this color palette. I can also like change specific hues. Like you're like, maybe I want like a green here. Or I want like a darker or lighter shade. Yeah, or you're like, oh, I really like this color. Let me lock this one and then change the others. And then it'll try to find the other colors that go well with this one. Yeah, and that's just something fun. I could like do that for hours on end. Yeah. The other thing with colors is, yeah, just to expand on sort of being aware of color vibration, is the other thing is you want to make sure your colors go well together and are accessible. So there's this website called accessiblecolors.com, which is really, I think is really important. So you can basically, the thing is, yeah, for people with maybe like red-green color blindness, or might just have vision problems, you want to have like good contrast between your text color and your background color, so that those people can still read your stuff well, like read your stuff without issues. So let's say, so you just put in your text color and you put in your background color, and then it basically just tells you whether or not they can go well together. So let's actually see, okay, let's say like, what if we put like, I guess sort of red text on a green background. That would look like, let me make a new thing. So if I had, let's make this red text, and then I wanted to have like red background. Let's do Arial 18. And let's give that font, make that font green. That looks shocking. But let's just see how accessible it is. Can I get the color code from here? Yes. So that's the color code of my background. That is apparently not a hexadecimal color. Oh, that's true. That's CMYK. What the hell? Okay, I think I maybe just need to take off the F at the end. Ooh, okay, here we go. That's my background color. And then, okay, so already, like, so basically this fails the accessibility. And then let's try, there's my green. Okay, let's grab this. Oh, yeah, it fails as well. Yeah, so basically also really nice. It tells you if you change your background color a little bit, it will pass. And if you change your text color a little bit, how to make it pass as well. Still doesn't look great, but at least it just means it's a bit more readable. So at least you're not just making your website unreadable for a whole bunch of people. Irfan's posting wave.webaim.org. Oh, you can give it a web address that checks if the page passes the guidelines. Okay, why don't we give it Kahoot? And let's see if it's accessible. Like if we look at this looks good. Like it looks clean, easy to use. And it looks like it's saying it's fine. Am I using this website correctly? So 2 alerts, no heading structure, no page regions. I can try it on ebay.com. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, that's working properly. Oh, wow. Oh, so it like tags everything and it's like, this is everything that's like good or bad about it. So, okay, so we've got an error here and it's saying missing form label. Right. Oh, that's so good. Okay, yeah. So basically, when you're searching, you sort of like need like a label, basically, so you know sort of what's being entered. So it says missing form label, but there is an ARIA label that says search. So I suppose like that's not so bad. And 53 alerts, redundant links. Interesting. Good features, structural elements. Yeah. This is really cool. Okay, so it's also highlighting parts where there's low contrast. Where's this? Can't see it. I mean, because it's low contrast. Nice. Can you put it in like sort of when you're like developing a website? Would you be able to, so like if you haven't like published the website yet, would you be able to use this? Okay, there's a Chrome extension that does that. Okay. Nice. Thanks for sharing, Irfan. Okay, yeah, it would just read the HTML. Yeah, it would probably just do the same thing because right here, what it's doing is just loading in the HTML and like probably CSS as well. Oh, actually, yeah, it probably mainly reads the HTML. Anyways, this is cool. And okay, I should also very quickly go through components. So a lot of the time you don't want to like reinvent the wheel. And so there's a lot of like libraries out there that sort of guide what components should look like. So for example, with material design, if we look at design, there's a lot of stuff on like the design philosophy behind what they've got. But for practical use, the most important bit is like the components. So they basically lay out essentially what app bars should look like, right? What app bar at the top should look like. You can obviously change the color. You can change probably the elements that are up there. So for example, that's got like a like button, but that's got like a trash button and a share button. But the idea is that the people behind material design have sort of been like, how do we create like an easy to use navbar component? And this is what they've like decided on. And yeah, they've got like banners. They can go like, this is what the check boxes should look like. Oh, it's a snack bar. Oh, okay, like a little notification thing. And if you use like Google products, you've probably seen sort of like stuff that looks like this all the time. Navigation drawer looks like this. And so other companies will have their own design systems, and they'll basically just have different versions of this. So let's look at for Android what Microsoft has got. Can I look at their components? Design guidelines. Reference samples. Okay, maybe they don't have the components. Does Atlassian? Atlassian would have the components. Cool. Okay, yeah, and you can see they've also got, so they've got banners as well, but their banners look like this. Let's see, what do they've got a drawer as well, open drawer. And their drawers look like this. And so they're all things that, the nice thing is they're all things that you can use. So you can actually download, so you can see they've got like sample React code for you. You can actually like npm install Atlas kit, and you can just use all the Atlassian components in your React apps. Yeah, which is pretty cool. If you want your assignment 3 to look like an Atlassian app, you can, if you just use their components. Shopify has one, or Apple has one. This would look so clean. Let's look at what they got drawers, windows and views, alerts. Oh, it's the alerts. I'm not sure if Apple has something for React. Doc menus. This is more sort of like a guideline rather than components for you to use. But it is nice because it tells you like, oh, like this is how you make sure that something's like easy to use. And this is like what the best practices are for making menus. And you can see like a lot of people have put a lot of thought into how to make things easy to use, how to make things clear, and just provide good user interfaces for the so many people using technology. Yeah, so I find that really cool. But in a practical sense, if you're not so interested in the theory, basically look for component libraries. So it looks like, yeah, Atlassian has got a component library that you can use. You can just npm install it and basically just start using them. What else? There's also Material UI, I think, is the implementation of the Google Material design system. So yeah, you can MUI, that's the React framework. You can look at their components. Yep, just like nice buttons. There's also Bootstrap, which I know plenty of people used in assignment 2. So Bootstrap for React. Yep, there's React Bootstrap. You can see their components. Another one that's used a little bit less, but I actually really like, is Chakra UI. So yeah, get started. I just feel like it looks really good. Let's see, components. Let's look at their buttons. Very clean. They've got their sliders. They've got the little loading things. Yeah, basically this using components just makes everything easy for you, because they've already been well designed and well thought out to be easy to use. And so you can just rip them and put them in your own apps. Okay, I've talked for a very long time about component libraries. I genuinely just really like looking for component libraries. If anyone has any that they like that I haven't mentioned as well, please let me know. Yeah, I just like discovering cool component libraries. We also only have like 5 minutes to go. Are there any more questions?